the regular council meeting to order. Am I on?
It takes two of them to get you in order.
So, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Happy March. And we'll kick off our first order of business this morning. Item number 2.1, Councillor Business. Councillor Parslow. Good morning.
Yes, you will have received in your package item of correspondence that I thought you should be aware of. Of course, Mr. Noblo has a passion for some of the things that I think some other people have a passion for as well. The impending food crisis in Canada and doing something about it. So there's no motion attached to this. There won't be any. For your information, he sent this to, I guess, the Rotary Club, and has enclosed something about some work being done in Calgary. So I said I would bring it to Council's attention, so I think I've done that. I do have a few other items if I can move on.
Go ahead.
The Historical Society has hired an archivist thanks to Saddle County funding, and she is working now on a part-time basis. She is worked as an archivist in the greater, I'm going to call it the greater Kamloops area, so a community close to Kamloops. Very nice lady, and so that's great. The Historical Society is also in the final phases now of upgrading its society bylaws, etc., so they align with the new requirements of the Societies Act, and that has been a somewhat tedious task, but it's reaching. I think Dave Roberts has now signed off on it, so we should be ready to go. Lots of progress at Pioneer Park, and the what we call it I call it the Stu Flynn building, but it's that building that's going to have just 3 sort of sections, bar, a telegraph office, 4 sections actually, is thanks to cooperation with Northern Lights College. That's going to be, I think, operational for this upcoming season. Also, there was some concerns about the sidewalks there, and they're in the process of being made safe and so on. So that group continues to do a lot of work, and I thoroughly enjoy working with the Mile Zero Park Society. There's been some issues associated with the Easter egg hunt, and some issues to do with how can we call it, volunteers and ensuring the safety of everything that goes on there. So we have a meeting coming up, and we'll see how they get addressed. So all in all, that's, I think, all I have to say.
Good, thank you. Other councillor business. Councillor McFadden.
Good morning, Your Worship. I attended a recent library board meeting, and everything is humming along quite nicely down there. They're a very well organized staff and board. Just on another note, I did receive a call from a gentleman up on the 9700 block, 10th Street. He said he was going to phone everybody about the unbearable noise that emanates from the cabaret in the back of the Carl Dolan building. Is it called Lone Star? I'm not sure what's called, but he said it's so bad on the weekends that they can't enjoy any of their property. He was going to phone all of council and come in as a delegation, but I don't think he's here today, so we'll let him.
He's away right now.
Okay, yeah, he'll be coming in as a delegation to plead his case. In his view, our anti-noise bylaws are inadequate, so we'll let him address that when he comes in at his pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McFadden. Councillor Wilbur.
Yeah, just a quick update on NCLGA AGM moving forward. So we're on task with sponsorship and stuff, and the staff will be focusing on delegation registration, so that's coming in. So quite happy to say we're still ahead of the game. Interesting enough, Tumbler Ridge and Chetwynd are advertising now what happens on the bus stays on the bus, so that should be an interesting tour. I won't be able to take it, but I'm going to get someone to take notes for me, so looking forward to it. Lots of great response, and even from local businesses coming on board as sponsors and stuff. So quite happy with the way that's progressing. Small Town Love, the community champions will be meeting from all of northern BC in Prince George at the end of April. So I'm looking forward to see what new programs are coming out from NDIT for that. It's pretty exciting, and lots of new businesses coming on board onto our program. So we're growing. So that's good. And just because I have enough Irish blood in my veins, the hospice and palliative care are having a Irish night out fundraiser for themselves. So tickets are $25. I know you can get them at Tigers. So even if you're not Irish, we're fun to hang with. So get your ticket. Come out March 12th. It's at the Seniors Hall.
March 12th?
March 12th. So dinner, dancing, and, good Irish fun.
Fights.
No, we won't fight, and we don't drink green beer.
I was going to
just
say
for the
whiskey.
record.
To get the Irish whiskey.
Maybe some Shayleys. There might be some Shayleys.
Kind of an Irish party or dances, no fights. Come
That's
on.
the Scottish, Terry. That's the Scottish.
Thank you for that. Other councillor business, Councillor Rogers.
Just a quick update on the tourism. We had another meeting, and it was basically the same as the workshop that Councillor Schumann and I had attended back in December. It was just a refresher for the hoteliers and stuff like that, and it's still positive. Everybody's still coming to the table, and
Good.
it's moving forward.
Good. Thank you. Anything further under councillor business? Thank you. Item 3.1 minutes of our public meeting of council for adoption of February 22nd, 2015. Councillor McFadden, seconded Councillor Schumann. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 3.2, the minutes of our regular meeting of council of February 22nd for adoption. Councillor Schumann, seconded Councillor Wilbur. Errors or omissions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Any business arising out of those minutes? Correspondence, 5.1, we have a letter from Mr. Hans Schmidt, President of the Minerals North Conference Association, regarding an opportunity or invitation to host the Minerals North 2018 event. Jim, can you give us just a quick update on this? Do you know?
We've certainly never hosted Minerals North before. I see the deadline is March 15th, and I'm not going to make that even if you guys pass a motion to bid on it, so I
Okay.
think we'll have to take a passage.
Thank you. Councillor Schumann?
I did notice in the letter they were talking about sort of groups of communities possibly hosting it, and I was thinking, like, in the future, our mining sector is sort of mostly out in Tumbler Ridge, and maybe they don't have the accommodations, et cetera, to host such a thing, but maybe in the future, if they were to take it on, we could do it in Dawson with all of our amenities, hotels, event center, et cetera. Just a thought for the future. Maybe Tumbler Ridge would
So, Councillor Javekov, maybe on the next South Peace Economic Development Commission, that committee meeting, and maybe that's a good topic for them to even consider in terms of saying maybe there's a joint opportunity here with Chetwynd and Tumbler and Dawson to consider some of these events that are occurring in our region. And maybe,
as a South Peace, like we've done with our NCLGA AGM.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe part of the economic development strategy work, we should think about that event
Yes.
component. Good, thank you. So a motion to receive for information. Councillor Schumann, seconded Councillor Javekov. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Delegation, we're going to move past delegations. We're a little ahead of time, so we'll go to reports. And report 7.1, report number 16024 from the Director of Corporate Administration regarding our bylaw enforcement appointment. Councillor Parslow?
Move the report 16024 from the Director of Corporate Administration, re bylaw enforcement officer appointment be received. Further, that Ms. Caitlin Hyde be named as a bylaw enforcement officer as an employee for the South Peace SPCA.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Schumann. Discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 7.2, we have report 16025 from the Senior City Planner regarding development permit 1601, Vetters, 8600 21st Street. Councillor Javekov?
I'll move the recommendation there. I'm just rolling down, getting to it here. The report number 16-025, development permit 16-01 regarding the property located at 8600 21st Street be received. Further, the development permit be authorized in principle, permitting the development of 6 8-dwelling unit apartment buildings and 120 dwelling unit apartment building. Further, that staff be directed to proceed with the required 10-day notification period, and further, that issuance of the permit be subject to receipt of financial security in the amount of 125% of the value of landscaping, including hard surfacing, prior to the initiation of each phase.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Schumann. Discussion? Councillor Wilbur?
Just for you to staff, is this, with what they're proposing here, is this in line with what they had originally shown us?
I'll just kick that over to Nigel, Your Worship.
Yeah, through your worship, it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor Rogers?
I just wanted so the history of this is it had already gone through public consultation and everything else already, and it's coming back to us again because that expired, and we're just going to, does it have to go back through the public consultation again?
Through Your Worship, yes, it does. It's a brand new start. When a development permit lapses, it's as if it never existed.
Development permit takes it from a
Yep.
new starting point. If it's a zoning, once the zoning change is had and you've had your public hearing, council approves that zoning change and then it goes, it doesn't have to come back. But because it's a development permit, it's a new starting gate.
Okay.
Good. Any further questions? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. 7.3, report 16026 from the Director of Community Services regarding the 2016 Arena Doors tender. Councillor Parslow?
The report 16026 from the Director of Community Services for the 2016 Arena Doors tender be received. Further, the Council award the contract for 2016-03 Arena Doors to Heady Construction Limited for the lump sum price of $158,400 plus applicable taxes.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Wilbur. Discussion? It's kind of a sign of the times when you have, I think, a contract, a tender for what we would consider to be relatively small in nature compared to what we normally do, and see 8 or 9 different tenders, companies bidding on the tender. So that's, I think, a sign of the times of how competitive and how difficult things are for industry and business today. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 7.4, we have report number 16027 from the Director of Community Services regarding the RCMP Detachment Occupancy Agreement. Councillor Schumann?
I move report number 16027 from Director of Community Services regarding the RCMP Detachment Occupancy Agreement be received. Further, that Council approve the attached RCMP Detachment Occupancy Agreement between the City of Dawson Creek and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for a 5-year term commencing June 1st, 2015, ending May 31st, 2020.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Rogers. Discussion. Jim, can you give us just a quick update on this agreement, on why we have it?
So, as part of the master agreement between the provinces and the RCMP, those of us who are more than 5,000 population are responsible for providing, at our cost, accommodation for our detachment. And so you do. This is the agreement, the lease agreement. It is basically on the terms that the RCMP suggest and require. They have the right and ability under that master agreement to build their own accommodation and bill you the cost if they don't like the lease deal with you. So this is our best out, is this deal.
Thank you. Any further questions? Any further comments for council? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. 8, bylaws. We have none for today. And so we get to item 9 under mayor's business, and 9.1. So when I was in Calgary a couple weeks ago, and part of these ongoing activities and discussions with industry, and we did it last year when TransCanada came forward with looking for a letter of support for some of their projects. Pembina Pipelines are now doing a number of projects in Northeast BC. They've got the Plateau Pipeline, which is being built from up around Pink Mountain down to Taylor. They've got another smaller one from Taylor, or from Tower Lake up to Taylor. They've got a Saddle Hills into BC, as well as a Pooskoopi spur line. And so they're looking, as they go through the Energy Board hearings and all of the things that they seek, they've asked us for a letter of support, and so I'm seeking Council's approval in order to do that. So I'd like to make that by way of a motion. Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Wilbert. Discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 9.2 is, when I was at the Peace River Regional District last week, a lot of water going under the bridge. I hope it was last week. And so we had a presentation by the Alaska Highway Commemorative Society. Bud Powell and April and team were there giving an update on the 75th anniversary of the highway and their budget and expenditure plans for activities for 2016. And as they presented the budget, they presented an ask to the Peace River Regional District for $40,000 increase in order to deliver some of those objectives they have for readying for the 2017 event in the 75th anniversary. And so for me, completely am okay with us in terms of supporting that, see it as an important initiative. But we give $10,000 annually to the group out of our economic development, and I understand, as the report indicates, that that's been ongoing for a bit of time. And so if the Peace River Regional District, of which all of our residents and business community are also participate in, and the Peace River Regional District fund that $40,000, then the City of Dawson Creek and our residents are paying twice into the same activity. And so I think it's good for us to support, but not in the event that we give them $10,000 out of our own economic development, as well as $40,000 through the Peace River Regional District. And so I wanted to bring that forward to Council for your information in terms of, and I'm loading slow here, but to say that we can't be giving twice is my message.
So do you want this motion dealt with in your...
Yeah.
I move that the City of Dawson Creek discontinue funding the Alaska Highway Community Society, and the $10,000 amount allocated for that purpose in 2016 be transferred to the contingency allowance.
Seconded, Councillor Rogers. Discussion. Councillor Schumann.
So they were asking for an additional $40,000. Is that above and beyond some other number that they get from the regional district? Like, what is the total number?
They had a carryover of about $80,000 in their budget. They get funding from different components, and their total budget, I think, was, and I'm going from memory here, and I'm loading here slow, but I think the total budget was about $140,000. So the issue to me was more about, we're the only community on the line of the budget of committing any money to the Alaska Highway Commemorative Society, which kind of was a bit of a surprise to me, because I thought there would be more folks in. So for me, and I'm good supporting it, but I said, if we're given 40 as part of the Peace River Regional District, and our residents are also given 10, we're funding twice, and I think I think it's appropriate that we fund, but not twice.
So,
Go ahead.
Do we know if this, like, are they counting on our 10,000? Do we know how this would impact it? I know we have the 75th anniversary coming up, and there's going to be additional things. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I would hate for it to negatively impact.
And I raised that with the board at the Peace River Regional District, that's saying, look, the City of Dawson Creek and our residents are paying twice here, and I'm good paying, but not twice. And so you guys should be aware that if we are, I'm making the bringing it back to our council to say that you guys maybe should be looking at 50, or Peace River Regional District should be looking at 50 if our council removes the 10, right? Councilor Roger?
Just a little bit of history on that. I believe to date now the regional district has put in about $500 and something thousand towards getting the information and the data for them. I just wonder if administration would know how much the City of Dawson Creek, like the citizens, have put into the research and everything that has gone on thus far.
Yeah, I think Jim and I had the conversation, and I think we're at about 130, 140 over the last 4 or 5 years that the City of Dawson Creek, our residents and business community have put in, right? So
yeah, and as the other communities have been fairly silent, but the regional district's been fairly positive towards it. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why, because the regional district was contributing to it, and cities were saying, why should we?
Yeah. Further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I wanted to give a quick update on the, so as you know, I've been holding and hosting the South Peace mayors and electoral area directors over the last probably 7 or 8 or 9 months as it relates to common issues that we deal with in the region, and 2 of them were hospital, healthcare, as well as the common other concerns like policing or health or airport. And so we had a meeting about a month and a half ago and talked about the hospital and the Dawson Creek and District Hospital. It's a hospital that provides services to the entire South Peace region. It's the acute care facility for those communities like Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridge and Pooskoopie and the electoral areas where they have acute care emergency requirements that can't be looked after within their own communities. Then they come to the Dawson Creek Hospital. That plan for the renovation project to the hospital has been on books and for at least, I think, 7 or 8 or 9 years. It was certainly on a #1 priority when I was on the board of Northern Health 5 or 6 years ago. So, so we've been really trying to put that strategy together in terms of how do we ensure we get this front and center on the provincial government's radar screen for that funding. And so we had a great conversation about 3 weeks ago. Had a meeting here. We did a tour of the hospital, and so the mayors and electoral areas directors, we got Kendra from the hospital to give us a bit of a tour of it, which really was helpful from their perspective to see the need for that renovation project for that hospital. And it's in the acute care, the inpatient wing is what we're talking about, where you're really needing to have those beds and that long-term acute care service available. And then last week, so as a follow-up to that, I got a hold of Northern Health, and they came in, and their engineers and director of planning came in and gave us a presentation on the plan for the hospital. And so we've engaged Mike, Emily Bernier, Minister Bernier, and we will be having follow-up conversations with Mike in terms of how we move it forward and how we as a group, not just the city of Dawson Creek, but the South Peace communities and elected officials, take this forward to the provincial government to get this funding in place for that hospital renovation project. And it's been very helpful to have the group, rather than just us from the community, raising the importance of this facility, but all of us. And all of the mayors and all of the electoral area directors have been extremely supportive of that message. And we're going to put together a package so that we can bring it forward to the provincial government, and whether it's the Minister of Health or Finance Minister or the Premier or whoever, in terms of how we move it forward. So I just wanted to update you guys on that and still moving it forward. Councillor Schumann?
Yeah, I really want to thank you for organizing the South Peace in this way. I think that we're going to be much more successful at things as a region, working forward together for these kind of things. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thanks. And so we've got this, Shaylee's leading the Community Grassroots Committee, and so we'll deal with that off the side in terms of some of the initiatives that within the community we can ensure we continue to build and support for our physicians, our medical services, and all those other kind of components. And as a side, I got introduced to a young locum that's here from Fredericton for a month, doing a locum for Dr. Pilgrim, and I was in to see my doc on last Monday as a little follow-up, and he indicated this young guy's in town, right? And he said, we lost a dog, Dale, to Port Alberni. And he said Doc Rue's telling me this, and he says, and one of the reasons he thought was he loved Port Alberni is because he had a meeting with the mayor. Like, who knew, right? Meeting with the mayor and that kind of thing. So anyway, so I have lunch with these guys on yesterday. And so he's a young guy from Fredericton. He's looking to set up his practice. And so it was really evident to me how important it is that we have this grassroots committee. So we start to have a welcome wagon almost events. And so we take them and show them the amenities in our community. And it was really eye-opening to me how important that can be for us. So that's that grassroots stuff within our community, and we'll set that medical committee, and Shaylee's working away on it. So we'll continue to do that work because I think it's got some very positive potential.
So you'll build on that?
Yep. Yeah. And
Create
so
some sort of template sort of thing that when we get them, that we
got to showcase our community, and I think that's there's so many, like they were talking, they're cross-country skiers, and so we got to get them up there. We got to show them the facilities, and that I got them tickets for the concert on Friday night so that they get to see the amenities of our community and our community coming alive with those events. And why is Dawson Creek the #1 small city in Canada, according to Cities Journal 2014 National Magazine?
we're just gonna keep banging
What
that
page
drum.
is that on?
Bang that drum.
It'll be like 2020, #1 city according to Business Journal 2014.
We just keep going. So yeah, it's such an important piece. We just got to keep building it.
Perfect.
I'm still working away with the Mayor of Grand Prairie, Mayor Gibbons, and on this kind of regional discussion about RCMP, public safety, and how we can understand the impacts of what's going on in our communities as it relates to public safety, and Grand Prairie are facing it. We had the discussions at UBCM with the Attorney General and the senior folks from the RCMP, and so Mayor Gibbons and I have now got a date locked in that we're going to host the RCMP from E Division, Chief Superintendent Baines, along with the Solicitor General's folks are involved in it, and their counterparts in Alberta, K Division, the senior folks from government, and just to have that first conversation with them about what are the impacts and what are the issues facing our communities in our region as it relates to public safety, the gangs and serious crime and all that stuff, and how can we be most effective in working together to try to minimize that risk to our communities. And so we've got a date set for, we're just locking that down right now with the folks involved, but hopefully first week of April, and we'll get that done and get it moving. So, any questions on that? Good.
Thumbs up.
Mayor's update on Calgary. Didn't I do this? Was there a specific
We're
topic?
going to talk about your town hall on
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Wednesday.
So the town hall, I don't even like to call it town hall really, but it kind of got ahead of me. It was more about, I did my old post on Facebook and it took off. And so it was really about trying to engage the community in terms of what we're working on, connecting the dots to the liquefied natural gas industry and the upstream, midstream, downstream effects of it, just like I did here. And then an update to the residents on the trip to Calgary and why I think it's so important that we do and continue to do that. The residents paid for it, and so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to engage in a public forum, kind of a way to give the information and allow people that have questions about it to do that. And I haven't done a very good job of that in terms of meeting the public out front one-on-one or in that kind of a personal setting. And so when I posted it, it was just an idea. And so I really liked the idea of it, but I was feeling a little bit guilty about you guys that I didn't engage you guys ahead of time. So that's what I'm doing now. So that's the purpose of it, is just about trying to update people on what I'm doing and what we're doing and when I travel. Councillor Schuman?
So, will you be talking about other things, other than oil and gas, or is it just going to be the oil and gas update?
I think I really want to update folks on that. Why is the Montney, why is the upstream, like I did here, why is that so important? And how does the Coastal GasLink, Prince Rupert GasLink line connect to the LNG Canada or Petronas or Chevron? And why are the different announcements more important? So I really want to spend some time on that so people connect that understanding of the industry, of why what's going on here is impacted by some of these announcements that are going to be made in 2016. And so I'm hoping that that will be, and then the update on the Calgary trip and why I think that's so important right now for people and the business community, because I've been out in the business community over the last couple of weeks since then, and it's tough right now, and there's people that are really worried. And so I think we need to, part of our leadership is giving people that update on what's going on and what we're working on. And you know what, honestly, and so if it's successful, I reached out to CN Rail because they made a big announcement about 2 weeks ago on $2.9 billion in funding. And so my plan is I'm going to Edmonton with one of my grandsons. I'm going to connect with CN when I'm there, and maybe there's a good opportunity then to connect the agriculture folks, right? In terms of, so hopefully it'll be a start of maybe doing a more regular interaction with the community in that basis, right?
That's a good idea.
Jim?
So, Your Worship, you might want to talk about where it is and when?
I'm a little nervous about it. No, so it's at the Calvin Crook Center on Wednesday night, March 9th at 7 p.m. I really hope that you guys would come and be there for the mayor.
Those of us that have Facebook reposted it for you, so it's out there.
Well, what got me worried was that one post got shared 18 times, and so that's starting to say that could be a fair. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. And it took off kind of ahead of me and not giving me the opportunity to engage you guys, and so that was today. I didn't mean to not engage you guys or not involve you guys in it.
You owe us one.
We don't seem to be very upset.
Thank you. Thanks. So 9 o'clock, and we'll move to our delegations now. And our first delegation, 6.1, we have Arden Smith, Robin Harris, Shelby Knorn, and Rosalind Guest from the South Peace Community Resources Society are in attendance regarding the International Women's Day proclamation. Good morning. So everybody that comes up gets a hug, but I'm suffering a little bit
Yeah,
with
don't hug them.
Don't hug them.
So don't hug today, all right? We'll do fist
Do a
bump.
fist bump. Don't even shake hands yet.
I'm trying to be aware of the flu bug. Good morning, welcome. So it's my pleasure to be able to read the proclamation this morning, and then I'll give it to you guys, and you can have your thing. Whereas March 8th is International Women's Day and is the highlight of International Women's Week of March 6th to 12th. Each year at this time, Canadians celebrate the progress towards equality for women. And whereas the Government of Canada's theme for 2016 is Women's Empowerment Leads to Equality. This theme reflects the government's philosophy that empowered women make choices that meet their own needs and the needs of their families, and that empowered women are better equipped to fulfill their potential and contribute to their best to society. And whereas International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the economic, political, and social achievements of women, past, present, and future. This special day provides an opportunity to celebrate the progress made to advance equality for women and to assess the challenges that remain. And now, therefore, I do hereby proclaim March 8th as International Women's Day in Dawson Creek.
Woo!
There you go. Thank you so
Does
much.
anyone else
Come
do
up
this?
to the front so they can get a picture and you guys can do your stuff.
Are those buns to throw at people?
So the floor is yours.
Okay. So on behalf of the Southeast Community Resource Society, we have come to share information about the International Women's Day, which occurs tomorrow, March 8th. International Women's Day is commemorated around the world to celebrate the economic, political, and social achievements of women, originally conceived in the early 20th century. This day serves to remind us of the advancements towards equality as well as the hurdles that are yet to be overcome. This year, the federal government's theme for International Women's Day is Women's Empowerment Leads to Equality. In keeping with this theme, South Peace Community Resource Society has created a calendar to remind us of the importance of empowering women all year through. The calendar, which contains a wonderful collection of empowered themed photos, is available by donation at the Women's Trades Fair this weekend on Saturday, March 12th. On Saturday, we'll be also passing out bread and roses to women in keeping with tradition. The tradition of bread and roses began over a century ago to symbolize the fight women went through to gain the right to work and a better quality of life.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys coming in today, and obviously it's an honor to be able to give a signed proclamation on behalf of the residents of the city of Dawson Creek. I saw a thing yesterday, I'm not sure if it happened yesterday or not, but we lost a great women's leader yesterday, Nancy Reagan. And so I think it's appropriate for us today to be celebrating this. And what a great lady she was in the world. So really appropriate. So thanks for coming in this morning, guys. Thank you
guys.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
So the bread and the roses symbolize the fight women went through to gain their right to work, equality of life. So Aaron and your bread, and then roses.
Okay, thank you. It's making me hungry now.
So 6.2, we have Kit Fast and delegation are in this morning on the Dawson Creek Watershed Society in attendance regarding World Water Day proclamation. Good morning.
Good morning.
It was amazing yesterday.
It was,
Okay, so come up front.
So good morning, welcome.
Morning.
Nice to see you.
You as well.
So whereas an International Day to celebrate fresh water was recommended at the 1992 United Nations Conference on Environmental and Development, and the United Nations General Assembly responded by designating March 22nd, 1993 as the first World Water Day. And whereas International World Water Day is held annually on March 22nd as a means of focusing attention on the importance of fresh water and advocating for the sustainable management of freshwater resources. And whereas each year World Water Day highlights a specific aspect of fresh water, and with this year's theme is water and jobs. The City of Dawson Creek is inviting the community to participate in upcoming events and encourages all residents in and around the surrounding community to show the world they care by conserving water. Now, therefore, I do hereby proclaim March 22nd, 2016 as World Water Day in Dawson Creek.
So on behalf of the Dawson Creek Watershed Society, I just like to thank the city for their efforts on educating the public around water issues because they're so important up here. And I'll let Chelsea speak on behalf of the activities for the day.
For sure. So Sustainable Dawson Creek and the Watershed Stewardship Program have teamed up this year to hold two different field trips. So there's one field trip that's going to be from river to water reclaim. So we're going to take residents out to the Eris Weir and then to the water treatment facility and then to water reclaim so they can follow our drinking water from river to tap to wastewater. And then we will meet at the Seniors Hall after where the Royal Purple Ladies will provide lunch. And we'll be done for that. And then the second option for a tour is from the water reclamation plant out to Shell's ground birch plant. So if people are interested in either end of our distribution system, they can join a tour, get a free lunch, and learn and ask as many questions as they'd like.
nice.
Thank you, Chelsea.
No problem.
And so, I think obviously on behalf of council, when we talk about the core responsibilities, the responsibilities that the city takes on, we talk about core functions, and we always start with water, sewer, roads, protective services, but it's always water is the first one out, and it's the most important service we provide. So we really appreciate you guys taking a leadership role in terms of bringing that awareness into our community and for our residents. So thank you, and thank you for coming in this morning.
No problem.
Councillor Schumann.
Just for council's information, I did take the tour last year and it was very informative. So if any of you have the opportunity to attend this year, I recommend it.
Thank you. Councillor Wilbur.
Oh, I'm just wondering if maybe, how do residents register to take the field
For
trips?
sure. So they can call Melanie Sherkoff at 250-784-3600.
Awesome. And there'll be a link on our website for how to contact you guys or how to register?
How to contact City Hall, and then
All
if
right.
they can just ask about the tours, they'll put them in touch with
All right.
Melanie for sure.
Good. Councillor McFadden?
Just a question, how's the snowpack up in the watershed doing?
So as of February 1st, that was the last time that the provincial did their release, we were at about 60% of normal for snowpack. So we're very grateful that we just got this last snow. Tumbler Ridge just got it as well. So we should get a new bulletin out this week on snowpack in the Peace and throughout the whole province. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, you guys. Thank you. 6-3, we have Peter Nielsen, Energy Manager for the City of Dawson Creek, on delegation and attendance regarding our Earth Hour proclamation for March 19th. Morning, Peter.
Morning.
Morning, morning.
Morning.
Oh, yeah,
There we
we'll
go.
do this, yeah.
There we go.
Look at this.
Don't be getting our staff sick.
Yeah.
Nobody gets sick. Whereas Earth Hour is a global movement that began in Sydney, Australia in 2007, encouraging individuals, businesses, and governments to take positive actions for the environment by switching off their lights for one designated hour. And whereas Earth Hour 2016 is being observed from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, March 19th. And the theme for 2016 is Shine a Light on Climate Change. And whereas the City of Dawson Creek will once again participate by shutting off all non-essential lighting at city facilities during Earth Hour and encourage all residents in and around Dawson Creek to show the world they care by turning lights off during that hour. Now therefore I do hereby proclaim 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, March 19th, 2016 as Earth Hour in Dawson Creek.
Yay.
There you go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Come on over. So every year, the City of Dawson Creek shuts all of its non-essential lighting off, and this year we're encouraging all the residents of Dawson Creek to turn off
Lights.
Faucets.
and vehicles. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming in. 6.4, we have Jeremy Linklater in town regarding the Dawson Creek Music Festival, and update on 2015 and an update on 2016. So the floor, you can take the table right there, Jeremy, and there's a microphone. You got a PowerPoint?
Nope, don't need anything.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Thanks. So, I think we're ready to go again for this year. But the reason why I'm here today is to look into the old power that used to be at the bandstand down in Kim Park. You know, it used to be there. There used to be a panel there. I'm pretty sure it was underground line, but it's been disconnected since the bandstand collapsed. So I was just wondering if we could look into that, because it's a pretty big issue, especially when we're dealing with tens of thousands of dollars of equipment, sound equipment, and that generator can fluctuate and can damage some stuff. So I was hoping we could maybe look into that and maybe get it restored if possible.
Okay. Do you want to give just for the benefit of the media and folks that are watching, a little bit of an update on what you delivered in 2015 in terms of the music festival and kind of where you're at early stages now?
Well, I think. Well, last year I think it turned out pretty good. I think it was a success. And thanks for being part of it, and Mark Rogers as well, being in the dunk tank. That was pretty fun stuff.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun. And but no, last year it worked out pretty good. And for a free event, the sponsorship was amazing, and it really is what made it happen. We had about 14, 15 acts during the day. It was went out pretty good. We had a beautiful weather, which was awesome too, and it went really well with the car show, I think. And as far as now, we're having another meeting, a volunteer meeting next Monday at the GD. If everybody's welcome to come and attend. It'll be at 7 o'clock in the Coon Room at the George Dawson Inn. And this far right now, that's where we're at. I just want to see where I can get for volunteers this year, because I did pretty much everything myself last year, and I'd like to have a little bit more help this year. So we'll see where I'm at in another week for volunteers, but I plan on going forward regardless.
Okay, good. Well, so first of all, we really want to express our appreciation for the work that you did last year in organizing an event, certainly in conjunction with that summer cruise. I thought it was a great day. The kids were full of all kinds of different activities down there, and the music, and people sitting around in the bowl at the Kin Park was just a really fun day in our community. And so we really appreciate the work that you did. And Monday night at 7 o'clock at the GDI for folks that want to get involved. Please come out and help support and try and make it bigger and better.
Exactly, yeah.
Jeremy, thank you. And
Thank you.
we'll bring the request back under
Okay.
Mayor's business, and we'll investigate what that is.
Well,
for
that'd
the
be
power.
great, yeah, because like I said, I mean, it's a lot of money to risk up there, and it's somebody else's equipment as well, right? And for a free event for the community, I don't think it's not much for us to really, just at least look into it.
We'll look into it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Just-
Councillor Rogers?
Just one question.
Sure.
Do you got plans for expanding the event? I know you just had it over one day, and I've talked to you, and you're talking bigger and better things.
Actually, yes. There's actually also, I'd like to, thank you for bringing that up, because I do want to bring it to possibly a 2-day event. This year, I think I'll just keep it to the 1 day, and then we'll hopefully get to that point. But I'm also looking, I'd also like to use more area. Like, I'm looking at also maybe the baseball diamonds on the other side by the tennis courts. If that area would be available, that'd be great as well. Because I'd like to expand through there for more activities for kids and things like that. So.
Yeah, I just want. Is there plans to make it like sort of a non-profit group or anything like that? Like, have you gone through any of that yet?
Well, it is pretty much a non-profit. I mean, there's no money. I'm not selling tickets.
Yeah.
This is all a free event for the community, and it takes the community to put it on. Like I said, with sponsorship and then volunteers. So, yes, it is. Right now, it is a non-profit organization. So.
The only reason I'm bringing it up because if you were a registered non-for-profit, there are grants that are out there that you could get that would help facilitate that.
Correct.
Event.
Yes, I'm aware of that, and we are working towards that right now. Yeah, because you were telling me about, which one was it?
NDIT.
NDIT, yes. Yes, I'm very interested in that for sure. But I'll know a lot more how we're going to work this after the meeting next week for sure. What direction we're gonna go, you know, because it takes money to put it on. So I really want to keep it free for the community, you know. But we'll have to see what kind of support we have and go from there.
Thanks, eh?
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
So now I know that the transit folks are here, but I'm going to move just if I can, because I know Tree and Chase and Dylan are here to give us and I know theirs is very short, and then we'll finish off with the transit folks because they've got a presentation. So guys, I'm going to ask you to come up. Tree and Chase and Dylan are the Peace Region Motorsports Association. They've got plans to give an update on a plan for a rally in Dawson Creek in the South Peace. So good morning, guys. Have a chair and
we do have a PowerPoint as well. So.
oh, okay. Oh, so are they? Sorry, did I flop you around? All right. So then you know what? Then I'm going to do the. If we got. I didn't realize. Sorry, I didn't realize you had a PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to move to transit then. 6.5.
Going to have to speak to the motor rally.
Chris Fudge is the Senior Regional Manager, Transit Manager, and Alison McDonald, Transportation Planning, are in attendance from BC Transit in regards to our Dawson Creek Transit System. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. So I'm going to move out of my way.
Where's that bus thing for the big cities for handicapped and that?
The BC accessibility?
There's no big name for that. Like we get ours a step up and ride, but theirs is got a different name.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, though.
I'll just hold the screen down.
Let's see what we can do.
I just wondered if transit would have. This is a different, it's the little buses, I think.
So we have accessible buses.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship and members of council, for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Chris Fudge, Senior Regional Transit Manager from BC Transit, and I'm joined by my colleague Alison McDonald, Transportation Planner. We are here today to seek approval from council on the terms of reference for our service performance check-in. BC Transit staff were last here in March of 2015, and subsequent to that meeting, the request was received for us to undertake a review in 2016, which brings us here today. There have been recent discussions regarding what level of analysis would be required to identify opportunities to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your transit system. The last service review was completed in 2011, and that was a very comprehensive service review and a report that was delivered to you. Since that time, there have been some individual routing issues which have been addressed, and we've made some efforts to reduce some of the costs. In addition, I should also mention that we are also planning to undertake a fare review report, which is due for this system. That's going to parallel the work that our planning department is undertaking, and that will be provided as a supplement to the final product that we're delivering to you. So the presentation today is to talk about our planned service performance check-in, just to outline the rationale, talk about the objectives, and then about the scope of work that we're planning to undertake. So I'll let Allison speak to that.
Good morning, Your Worship, members of Council. My name is Alison McDonald. I work as a transportation planner with BC Transit. I've been working there about 9 years, and to date have done in-depth planning studies on 18 different communities within BC. However, it's my first time doing an in-depth study in the South Peace region, so I'm very happy to be here with you today. And as Chris mentioned, we're here today to present the terms of reference for our Dawson Creek Transit Service Performance Check-in. And the purpose of our delegation today is to seek approval from Council for the terms of reference for this performance check-in. Our presentation topics today will consist of, firstly, a general overview of your existing transit system. Secondly, further details on the service performance check-in project in terms of its rationale, objectives, our intended scope, approach, and timeline. And lastly, our recommendations for you today. So to give just a very brief general overview of your transit system here in Dawson Creek, as you may know, there are 3 routes currently operating, north side, south side, and central. Service operates weekdays and Saturdays. Saturdays 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with an earlier start on weekdays. In terms of ridership carried, it equates to about 380 rides per day on your system, which is served by about 30 service hours in total daily. It is cost shared between BC Transit through the province and the City of Dawson Creek. 100% of the revenue is retained by the city to help offset the city's costs and funding portion. So these are some statistics on your transit system. And in terms of what your transit system actually does, it serves a wide variety of community members for different types of trip purposes. For example, employment, schools, business, medical services, shopping, and social and recreational activities. It comprises part of the family of mobility services, walking, cycling, transit, personal vehicle use, serving to provide Dawson Creek residents with choice, flexibility, and affordability in their mode of transport. And it helps to enhance community connections and to promote social cohesion. Through daily interactions between drivers and customers, drivers tend to know every passenger by name, and through friendships created on the bus between passengers. And a resilient transit system is flexible, adapts to the changing needs of the community it serves over time. Which is part of the rationale for this service performance check-in. It's firstly to verify that your transit system is continuing to meet the current needs of the residents here, and how to best attract potential new riders. Also to explore potential opportunities to increase efficiency and effectiveness of the transit system. So in essence, to optimize the transit service here. So the service performance check-in is a high-level analysis of your transit system to determine to what extent it meets current and future community needs, and to make recommendations for improved efficiency and effectiveness. The objectives of the service performance check-in are as follows. Firstly, to analyze and report on the existing performance of the transit system here. Secondly, to examine future transit requirements within the community. Thirdly, to build awareness of and support for the transit system here through our planned public engagement activities. Fourthly, to outline and recommend service options for consideration by city staff and council in order to improve transit system efficiency and effectiveness. Next, to make recommendations, again for consideration by city staff and council, on non-service related supporting strategies. For example, reviewing the fleet here, infrastructure needs, marketing ideas to help further promote transit, and as Chris mentioned earlier, a review of the fare structure here. And our last objective will be to outline the process towards implementing any potential transit system changes that result from steps 4 and 5 above and that are approved by council. So the scope of the project is fairly detailed, and I'll come back to it in the slide after next to talk on it a little bit more along with the project timeline. But just as a brief overview, project startup, part of the reason we're here today, to have the terms of reference approved. Next, context and analysis of your transit system. Phase 1, public engagement. Analysis of potential options. Phase 2, public engagement, the scope of which will be dependent on the results of Phase 1 public engagement, as well as the scope of potential changes that we might be looking to introduce, followed by a final report. And after that, we'll be moving towards the action stage of implementing changes on the ground. In terms of our approach, we'll be working very closely with our partners, the City of Dawson Creek, and the local operator, Diversified Transportation Limited, who is represented here today. Also, I'm gaining feedback and input from our public stakeholders within the community. We will be reporting directly to the BC Transit Board of Directors and to the City of Dawson Creek Council. Our approach will also include careful reference to the city's official community plan, as well as the 2013 Transportation Master Plan, referencing all the data collected there from public consultation and planned land use development. And in terms of the spectrum of engagement, we'll be informing, listening and learning, consulting, and collaborating to create this project. So in terms of the timeline and scope, we started the project back in February with a signed memorandum of understanding, and we're here today, as mentioned, presenting the terms of reference for approval. Next, and concurrently, we're looking at the context of your transit system. We've had discussions with city staff. We're conducting ridership counts and driver surveys. We'll be analysing the input from city staff, the data from the ridership counts, and the survey data. And that helps to form Phase 1 public engagement. The driver surveys are basically a collation of all the feedback they've been hearing from customers over the past little while. I was also here last week riding the buses and doing one-on-one interviews with passengers. We'll be taking all of that analysis and putting it into a draft report, which we will send to city staff and then be in discussions with them, ensuring that it meets their expectations. We'll be then going back out to the public for Phase 2 public engagement. And that will be basically presenting the public with, this is what we think we heard that you need, did we get it right? And we'll be taking that input, putting it back into the report, just ensuring that we're moving in the right direction. And that final report will be presented to Council in summer of this year, all with a view to, in the fall, moving towards the process of implementing improvement changes on the ground here in Dawson Creek. So the end product will be a Dawson Creek Transit System Service Performance Check-in report with the vision of improving the effectiveness and efficiency of your transit system here, resulting in happy riders, new riders, and satisfied drivers as well. So our recommendation for you today is that Council approve Attachment 1, the Dawson Creek Service Performance Check-in Terms of Reference. Thank you very much for your time here today, and we would welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming in. Thank you. So any questions for Council? Councillor Javeco.
I was just wondering about the, we don't have the handy dart, which I think is part of BC Transit, eh? But we have Step Up and Ride as an alternative, but I don't think that's part of your system, eh?
It is not, no.
Right.
So are you, or do you look at the Step Up and Ride operation sort of in conjunction with the other transit services here? Or do you ignore that totally?
Through your worship, pending feedback from staff, we can definitely take a look at the current performance of the Step Up and Ride program, see what the ridership levels are like, see if that currently meets the needs of the community here, and if it doesn't, we can definitely include in the report what it would look like if BC Transit were to begin offering handy dart service here in Dawson Creek.
Yeah, the only reason I asked, I thought if you adopt handy dart here, is that going to be more cost effective for, because it takes money to run Step Up and Ride, community money, so.
Right. Through your worship, we generally find that handy dart in terms of cost per ride is a lot more expensive than the conventional transit service that is currently available within the city. The advantage of the vehicle fleet that we have here in the city is that all vehicles are 100% accessible. They're low floor. People with wheelchairs and walkers are able to access those vehicles. So handy dart tends to be something, there needs to be a strong appetite as well as funding resources to kind of make that next step up to that next layer of service.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Parcel?
I'm interested in your methodology for engaging the community in this. What are your, can you expand on that?
Through your worship. So as part of the service performance check-in, compared to a longer term service review, our phase 1 public engagement approach is slightly scaled back. So we're relying on feedback from the public through all the transit drivers and through, for example, the personal interviews I undertook last week. We're also we're going to be taking all of that and coming up with potential improvement options. Then as part of our phase 2 public engagement efforts, we would be looking at public open houses at the Dawson Mall, the Co-op Mall, as well as online surveys. And with direction from staff, if it was felt that even more comprehensive public engagement than that were warranted, then we would definitely look to be doing that. The caveat being that the greater the amount of public consultation we do, that tends to extend the timeline of a project. So if that is acceptable to city staff and council, that is definitely something we could look at doing.
I would like to see some direct engagement with organisations in the community that support some people who are challenged with mobility. I'm thinking of, Dawson Creek Society for Community Living, seniors organizations, Spitters, Nowerton. I think I hear from some of those organizations about matters that I think would interest you.
Thank
School
you.
district?
Yeah.
Thank you. And if perhaps we could receive from staff afterwards contact details for those organisations, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Good suggestion. Anything further? Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And I think I was looking at the timelines, and I think as we're doing our official community plan process this year in 2016-17, it really is appropriate, I think, to do this transit plan and review, so we understand that for the future of our community as well. So we appreciate you guys coming in this morning. Thank you. So we'll bring it back under mayor's business and deal with it at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess that's it for delegations. Now that we did the autocross guys already.
It must have been looked at before, but I don't remember what happened.
All these guys do is inspire my kid to try to get a race car, which frightens the hell.
So next up, 6.6, we have Tree, Chase, and Dylan from the Peace Region Sports Association in attendance regarding proposal they're bringing forward for a rally in Dawson Creek in the Southeast region. So good morning. I met with you guys about a week or so ago and had a conversation and suggested that it'd be appropriate for them to come in and give an update to council on what they're considering. So welcome. Good morning.
Thank you for seeing us today, city council members. We are the Dawson Creek Motorsports Association. We have been doing autocross in Dawson Creek for the last 5 years as a non-profit organization, and we thought this would be the next step to possibly more awareness and community engagement in a possible annual event. So with that, we would like to show you what we have been working on and possibly what we could achieve with support from the city council and surrounding areas as well.
So there is a video. I'm not sure if this will play it or not. No, probably not. Okay. We'll send you the link afterwards if you like.
So with our association, we were looking on doing a rally event. A rally is an automotive event that takes place on a set course on a set time. It's not a race. We just want to make sure that people are clear. It is definitely not a race. It's a bracket, and you're given a lot of time for your vehicle spec. So and what it does is it takes place on a public or private road. And we're here today because we're looking for city support for a possible closure for certain areas of Dawson Creek and the South Peace region. So we've been working closely with the three cities, Chetwynd, Dawson Creek, and Tumbler Ridge, to tie an event that will showcase the Peace region as well. We've put a teaser video online, and we've got a lot of support so far. We have people down from Vancouver, the Vancouver Motorsports Association. They had the autocross club across British Columbia. They took wind of this, and they only wish us the best. And it's very difficult to have an event like this. There's only one event currently that is similar to this, and that is in Newfoundland, Targa, Newfoundland. They've been doing this for over a decade, so it is possible.
Well, and since we've launched a teaser video, it was about 3 weeks back, and we've had like miraculous engagement from Vancouver to Calgary. At the time that this picture was taken, we had 10,000 people that we reached just naturally through social media, through Facebook, just email, guys talking in the street. Since then, I believe it's upwards between 15 and 18,000. That's just Facebook alone. So the engagement we've received already is outstanding.
So we're really making it aware of what we plan to do, and it's just the next stage of the autocross. We've now had 5 years in the city. We've had a perfect safety record. So safety is the #1 key issue here. That we do have documentation. We have a plan that can be found on our site. We have everything we need, and with we're looking for support in gathering more items to make it a safe event as well as an efficient event, and that's what we're hoping to do. So with every event, we have an extensive drivers meeting before any event, even with the current ones we do have, as well inspection of all vehicles. So it's very detailed on what we do, and we have that now. We're at the Encana Center currently. We have been for the last 4 years, as well as the Dawson Creek Mall, and then also the airport last year as well. So we've brought up in stages, and we think the next event in the Peace region, the South Peace region, would be a fantastic idea, and possibly tie in with summer cruise and as well as some other community events. Just another nice event we'd like to do for Dawson Creek.
We have some of the routes that we've highlighted, just proposed routes. So we have up through Bear Mountain. I don't know if you guys have ever driven to the very top of Bear Mountain. There's a quite challenging route. There's out behind Coos Coupe, which is, I can't remember what the road is called now. But if you start from the Briar Ridge Road, so another proposed route would be behind Coos Coupe, and we drive all the way around through Briar Ridge, through the Snake Pit, and we could end at the airport or in Encana or before then. It's really up in the air. We can change it to anything we would like right now. So it's all going to be on how we can blockade roads, close roads, maintain safety at the highest priorities.
So just to keep in mind, notice the sections we show are, say, 100 kilometers or 40 kilometers or 2 kilometers. It's not a full set through that. It's going to be just sections of that per time. So each section would be possibly closure for an hour to 2, depending on how many entrants we have for the event. And it's a leapfrog event. So there'd be one section RCMP for each group. So one section would go leapfrog set up for the second section. So that would just follow that path. So say the one section would have possibly eight routes in there.
Yeah. So these first 4 routes are all in Dawson Creek, around the Dawson Creek area. So they're very small, from 5 to 10 kilometers. The larger one would be the next one of Tumbler Ridge, which Tree was talking about, where it is a large section, but we can split it up into smaller sections to allow road, like normal residents or tourism or what have you, to go through those stages when we're not in like during the race, basically, so we can allow normal traffic to flow through.
So with that, with the roads, with the event that we're looking at, along with the support of the Peace region, the South Peace districts, we'd look to have an event that could add revenue to the city, as well as added tourism, which is always good to have. And we thought with this event, we could roll in a lot of the nonprofit organizations. We already started working on liaisoning with a lot of the people that we thought may be appropriate for this. We just thought we'd bring awareness for this event here today to make sure that you guys are aware that it's not a race. We actually are not here for any financial support. We were just looking for council support and for the region support. A lot of it we do have in place. Dawson Creek Tourism is helping us with our volunteers, as well as organizing the event. We have 100% support from them as they put together the U17 tournament. They organize a lot of that. So we're looking for that help to have this event happen. What we really need from the city is possibly help or contacts with road closure, maybe provincial district. Really, we are looking at late July for the event, and then possibly every year, because the Alaska Highway's anniversary is next year. So we'd like to start this event this year, make it happen, and make a really big one for next year's Mile Zero event, which is going to be the Alaska Highway's big 75th anniversary. And again, we are planning on meeting the other districts as well, Tumbler Ridge and Dawson, Tumbler Ridge and Chetwynd, We have proposed meetings with them because they're very excited about it as well. So we'd like to create awareness for them and have this event happen.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
So, questions? Councillor Schumann.
So I'm looking online, I'm looking for your Facebook. Is it Peace Area
It would be
Motor?
the Dawson Creek Autocross Club
Oh,
under the Peace Region Motorsports Association, so DC Autocross Club.
is your Facebook?
Yes.
DC Autocross.
Because the Peace Region Motorsports Association, we work with Fort St. John as well, but that's North Peace Region. We may be working with the North as well on events, because depending on the routes we take, we'd like to concentrate on the South Peace Region first.
Good. Further questions?
So we're your first stop. You're going to be talking to Chatwin, Tumbler Ridge, and possibly the regional district, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
That's correct, yes. Tumbler Ridge is actually later today. We're going to see them
Okay.
as well. We've already talked with Don McPherson, so he's aware of what's happening, and we're just going through delegation process today as well.
Good. Question, Councillor Jacko?
Can you explain, for example, the road from Chatwin to Tumbler Ridge? So you'd have to close sections of that while you're on it, or how does that work?
That's correct.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is have that 100-kilometer section, we can set off a 10-kilometer section, and only during that time can a competitor be on the track during that with a lot of time, say it's an hour or what have you. And after that time, we can allow traffic to flow through if there has been some sort of people on the road waiting to go through. And after that time, we'll warden off this next section, or go ahead and make sure each road is blocked off and there's no one waiting to go on. So as we go through the roads, we'll be able to maintain a nice steady flow of traffic for residents or oil patch or businesses.
That's
Councillor
awesome.
Wilbur?
So I've got to wrap my head around this, and I can see my son revving up his Subaru that's been sitting in the garage since the granddaughter's been born. But anyways, why close off the road? So when I look at the LCAN 5000 that just came through here,
Right.
the Peace Frog Road Rally that runs from, South America all the way to Fairbanks, Alaska, and all these different road rallies, they don't need road closure. So why close the roads? That
More for a safety aspect. Just
So the Alcan, they do not go over the speed limit, so whatever speed is set on that highway is what they generally stick to. We need to close down the roads to, we're gonna go over the speed limit, but we're not exceeding, so we have 4 different classes. Each class will have a max set speed, which we'll pre-designate before the event, well ahead of, so people know. We'll have those posted before the entrants leave for the start line. On top of that, on top of the max speed, there will be an average speed. So you will not be able to go above the average speed for your class. So let's say there's a max speed of 130 kilometers an hour, and the average speed is 90 kilometers an hour. Through the entirety of that course, you may not go above 90 kilometers an hour. So that's how we're going to be regulating that.
okay. So speed's the factor.
Speed is a factor, and we will be exceeding the speed limit of say it's Tumbler Ridge Highway, which is only 9 kilometers an hour. We will definitely be going above that, and that's why we need to shut down the roads.
Further question? Councillor Parzo?
Well, that answers sparked my curiosity. How do you secure insurance for something like that?
We're a nonprofit organization. We have autocross under our belt. We have current insurance companies that actually cover us through the Vancouver Motorsports Association and Formula One Association. So we are already covered under that blanket. So the Peace Region Motorsports Association is covered with the CACC, and it's through Stonebridge Insurance. So they actually they cover all of Canada, and we're under that blanket, so we are covered for events like that.
Mm-hmm.
So insurance is we've already have all these things taken care of. So that part of it was nice, because when we started autocross 5 years ago, that was one of the major issues, was always, of course, getting insurance.
Mhm.
How do we set up events? So there's a big community, and we have a lot of support for that.
They build these cars for this, Councillor Parcel. You just buy them right off the car lot, and then you add parts to them.
Yeah,
and
I
you
wasn't
quarter
thinking about
better
the
and-
cars. I was thinking about if the road's been engineered in a certain way and has been rated at certain things. How do you get by insurance, well, you know about that, man. You know, wouldn't you? The road's been rated for 90 or 110, and you're driving 130.
Because
How
that
does the
never
insurance
happens.
interfere?
That never happens.
Never happens.
Have you seen us in the autocross parking lot? We go well above.
I'm talking about public highways
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, like in the mall parking lot, we're only supposed to
Yeah.
go like 12 miles an hour. And
So insurance is set designated for that specific event, specific day. What we plan to do, it's their underwriters they take care of all of that, and whatever they specify, we have to follow. So safety is key for us. That is our number one issue, and it's something that we always have to make sure that we're in tune with. And the inspections, all of that stuff have to take place to make sure safety is always taken care of. So to have an event like this happen, we need the community support. So not funding wise, but also with medics and stuff, just to make sure that every aspect is covered for safety, because insurance requires all of that.
sounds exciting, you guys.
Yeah, we'd like to roll and have another great event in Peace, and really we're highlighting the Peace region. So if we example the windmills, things like that, if we can somehow tie a nice picture in with that while we're doing this event, that's our goal, is to have that.
And they need to get out of the parking lot.
Councillor Dreckhoff?
I think it'd be a great event. It ties in the whole South Peace. But I can see the logistics of it. The organization it will be a real challenge. So I hope you guys are successful. But it's going to take some work, eh?
Absolutely right.
Sure they know.
Half the work is done, the rest is just support. We need
Yeah.
just for the volunteers and stuff. Dawson Creek Tourism will be helping us with that.
Good.
Your Worship.
Go ahead, Councillor.
So I'm thinking now in this conversation, so basically are you asking council for a letter of support in
We are,
moving
yes.
forward with this? So
Moving forward, yes, we are asking the city council for a letter of support.
Okay.
Would be, we have one from Dawson Creek Tourism. So the more letters of support we have, we can approach provincial if we have to, or district for road closure. It just makes it much easier.
all right. I just wanted so we'd have to talk about mayor's business.
Yeah, it'll
Thank
come
you.
back under mayor's business.
Thank you.
Nice.
Anything further? Thanks, you guys. We appreciate you coming in,
Thank
obviously, and I wish you well, and we'll bring it back under mayor's business.
Updated. Thank you very much. for
Thank
your
you.
So we're going to take a break now for 8 minutes.
Where's the working time?
I'm back into mayor's business. We had 3 delegations that require follow-up. And so the first being the Jeremy Linklater in regards to his request for power. And so Jim, can you give us just a quick update on what we know, or if you know about the history of that power down there, if there was, is?
So everybody says there was at one time when the band shell was up, power there. But that doesn't show on any of our plans, and we can't find anything. So we did solicit a quote from our contractor, the company that has our electrical contract, K&O, and they're saying 12 to 15,000 to put power down in there with a standpipe with a power panel on it.
Okay.
And it would have to be metered, of course. Now there's no record there's ever been a meter. I don't know exactly what we were paying for that power, if there was power down there, or how.
Is there power close by somewhere that could be?
Up at the top of the hill.
So, could they possibly run a big extension cord and do that, or does that not work out?
So what they did at the last event was a generator, because they're for those bands, it's not a residential service you're looking for. You're looking for a steady and reliable, significant power.
But they're saying that the generator could cause problems to their equipment. So I'm just thinking if we could run a line, just a temporary something or another for the day.
We wouldn't advise that. If you're putting power in, put it in.
Councillor Wilbur, then Councillor Jubeka.
Totally different topic, but just because it's on my radar. How do they fall under, for insurance purposes and criminal record checks in hosting an open event to the community?
So I believe last year they were able to obtain event insurance through CanSport. Or All Sport?
All Sport, yeah, I believe it was for All
which is not available this year, so I don't know the answer this year, and I'm not aware that they did anything in the way of criminal record checks because they're not an organization, they're an individual.
So just because I know it was brought up with the Easter thing, and I'm just thinking now, you know, there's all of these people doing these things. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in, and we do have people out there that, in our community, that aren't nice people. So I would want to make sure that in whatever conversation with Jeremy, that we make it clear that those are things that he needs to look at, and that his volunteers will have to have criminal record checks.
Yeah, I think that was Councilor Rogers' point, was Jeremy did a great job last year in
Awesome.
getting this kicked off and did it all on his own, really, with some support from us, but really took the organization on. But I think the structure and the necessity for him to do stuff was, I think, Councilor Rogers' point. So,
Yeah.
Councilor Javetkov, then Councilor Parslow, then Councilor Schumann.
In my opinion, you know, it's a one-time event, and as far as developing that area for more events, there are quite a few events around town already. You know, any given weekend you can have half a dozen or more different things going on. So as far as power, I would suggest that they keep using generators, and I know these new generators, I forget what they call them. They're not like the old ones. You can even run a computer safely on them. So, you know, there's equipment there that's safe, and, you know, that's the way to go. I mean, you know, they may put it on for a few years and then it'll wane, and, you know, to invest that kind of money to put in a power there, I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Councilor Parslow?
Yeah, similar comment about generators. I know because I bought one, a generator that is great for digital, for electronic equipment. So I'm a little confused. Maybe they don't make them big enough like that, but there are generators sold for houses that provide all the safe sort of stuff for electronic equipment.
Councilor Schumann?
I'm just going back to this insurance and criminal record checks thing. Like, I can see the Easter and the children events. I could see people needing to have their criminal record checked when we're dealing with all these children of our community, but I don't know, like, this seems a little bit different. It seems a little bit different to me.
Councilor Wilbur?
My understanding is, so through you to Stephanie, and they correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what happens for nonprofit groups is if they don't have their criminal record checks, they may not be able to get insurance, because the insurer wants to make sure that the people are participating, are the people running it or whatever, that they're safe, right? So I don't think it's a matter of just you have to have it, because I think it has to do with insurance. But I could be wrong, but that is my understanding.
Councilor Rogers?
It was billed as a family-friendly event. There was a bouncy castle, and there was a lot of kids down there. And I recognize Councillor Wilbur's concerns, which are similar to mine.
So I think there's a couple of points here that need to be addressed, and so perhaps I think we have to get Jeremy back in. Councilor Rogers, I don't know if you're still
I can talk
on the link on it, but maybe you and I can meet with Jeremy and or you can, and we'll have the conversation. We need to get a structure. I think Jeremy needs to get a structure. I really like the idea of what he's done and trying to build an event in the community, and it really was a fun day. Kids down there playing in the bouncy castles, the dunk tanks, and the face painting and the music, and people who are sitting up there really enjoyed it. So I really think we want to do everything we can to encourage and build and support it, but at the same time, I agree. I don't think it's something we say we're going to dump 15 grand in to put power in and then have it sit there unused. But also the other point is we need to get Jeremy some help in terms of getting a structure in place for his organization. So we'll take that forward, and can we have that by way of a motion then?
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Wilbur, Councilor Schumann. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. BC Transit, we're in to do their in-service review. Councilor Schumann?
I move that we accept or support the terms of reference for the updated review.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor McFadden. Discussion? Jim, is there anything you want to add into that?
Just that in our meetings, we have steered towards this higher level look at are we meeting the needs of the community and what's sort of the best case scenario, what's the most efficient way we could operate, as opposed to the more detailed look at which roads might need a bus stop, that kind of thing. So it's at a higher level.
Yeah, good. Any other questions for anyone? Councillor Javetko?
So do they consider whether we, there's some overkill here as well? Or do they just look at increasing?
No, absolutely. They're looking at whether or not there is even a need for regular scheduled service, or whether dispatch service would be meet the need at, say, school times, that kind of thing.
Good.
So just to follow up on that, handy dart versus step up and ride, is there any advantage to using the handy dart? I see there they pay just about 50% of the costs.
So through your worship, the disadvantage with Step Up and Ride at the moment is they're so precarious financially. And so last year they went a full month without service because of budgetary constraints. So that service, which is very popular in the community, as you know, and very affirmed by the ridership and fundraisers, and I mean they're popular in the community, but they are constantly in need of fundraisers in order to continue. So it's the reliability of that service that's the concern. Handy Dart, of course, it's a very similar service. It's a dispatch on-demand, location-to-location service, just as Handy Dart is. It has the full funding support of transit and the city of Dawson Creek. So it is far more reliable if you went to Handy Dart. The last time we looked at it, our 50%, and this was in the context of the 2010 review, our 50% was going to be nearly 300,000. At the moment, you're contributing 25 grand to Step Up and Ride, so they'll look at it again and they'll bring you those numbers, but it's a big investment that you make if you're going to move to Handy Dart.
Okay. Councillor Wilbur?
I'm just wondering, moving forward, if there isn't room to have the conversation with BC Transit, not that they bring in their Handy Dart system, but they support Step Up and Ride, so they come on and maybe on a contractual basis, just like they utilize Diversified to run their operations here, that maybe Step Up and Ride becomes the Handy Dart. I don't know if it's a possibility, but I just think we have a service here, and I would hate to ask BC Transit to bring something else in. And then now we're shutting down a service we already have, but maybe there's room for some sort of partnership or some sort of agreement with BC Transit, the city, Diversified, and Step Up and Ride. Maybe that's a possibility.
I would think that the governance issue in terms of Step Up and Ride as a society, getting donations from folks to operate them, and at the minute you ask the provincial government through BC Transit to engage it, then they would have to, I'm sure, and as would we on behalf of the residents, if we kicked in more, then we'd have to have some function within the governance structure for the operations. And I think that would be the worry for me, in terms of the more you get into it, the more you're going to take it on. And I don't necessarily think that's the goal of Step Up and Ride as a society. But I did ask Jim, and I think we will, is perhaps off to the side, we need to get an update and a real good overview of Handy Dart, because honestly, I don't understand it as well as, and so I think that's in the future, we need to have that, so we get a better sense of that as it relates to Step Up and Ride, who's providing a valuable service in our community.
Well, and I'm just saying, part of that conversation, maybe that conversation should be had with Step Up and Ride, and saying if they can't run service for a month because they're having those issues, then maybe there's an option there, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't want to see passed by.
We'll do some stuff off to the side on that. So, any further questions on the transit review? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. And the last was the DC Autocross Association looking for a letter of support for their event. And as I think about it, there's really very little for us in regards to, it's not happening within the community specifically, other than staging at the arenas or the Ancana Event Center. And so, Jim, do you have any comments on?
In addition to a letter of support, I think you might want to direct us to have Barry talk to them and see what he can do for them. I'm a little bit worried to hear them say that most of their logistics support is coming from BC Tourism at the moment. BC Tourism's contract expires at the end of December and may not be replaced, and then I don't know what their event would do. So for crossover purposes, it might be wise for you to direct that Barry contact them and see what support he can offer them.
Sure. Councilor Schumer?
I would make that motion that we provide a letter of support and ask Barry to look into things for them, help them look into some things.
Thank you. Seconded, Councilor Wilbur. Discussion.
I think they deserve the opportunity to try. I think they have a huge road ahead of them, but I think they deserve the opportunity to try.
And if it's
Yay
successful,
for us.
it's
All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Diary?
Nothing new on the diary, Your Worship?
Fee for service and tax exemptions is diary. Consent calendar, we have a couple of items. Councilor Parslow, seconded Councilor Wilbur. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Strategic priorities.
Nothing new on the chart, Your Worship?
Question and answer period.
No one has signed up.
Media question.
Yeah.
Mr. Award winner?
Oh, well, not yet.
won an award.
Please.
He's nominated. He's nominated for
Oh,
one.
you didn't win it yet?
No.
For
Oh,
what?
well, it's a given. We're going to
yeah.
congratulate you.
Positive thoughts.
Do we get to vote?
No. These are my esteemed peers.
Is it on your tweeting ability or?
It's a story he wrote.
It's the one about Tumbler Ridge.
So what about?
Great job.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was going to, I don't think this one will win any awards, but I was going to ask the terms of reference for the transit study. Jim just kind of mentioned that they may be looking at whether regularly scheduled service is something that needs to happen. If that's something that could be phased out in favor of like on-call services. Do I have that right?
So through Your Worship, they look at everything, and that's their sort of baseline test. So when they do one of these check-ins, the first question they ask is, do you even need transit? Is transit the right model? So it's always sort of their entry-level question.
And I suppose it all depends who they're asking. If you ask the residents who use transit, certainly they're not going to get an answer to that effect from them. Maybe around this table there might be support for that, but I don't think in the community there would be.
Terry rides bus.
And is this like a regularly scheduled sort of audit of the system, or is this something that the council requested specifically? Let's have a look at what transit we do.
Your council engaged them.
Now, the normal process, there's a full service review every 8 to 10 years. So there was one in 2010. There would be another one in 18 or so. And council asked them when they were here last year if they could speed that up a bit.
Good. Thanks, Johnny. Ashley, anything? So we recess to close, please.
So.
And we have 10 minutes, and then we got some folks that have to leave us, and then a half an hour, some more folks have to leave us.
So what he's
everyone
saying
coming
is no
back?
cigarettes for you.
So what
Let's
does
vote.
that mean?